Hey guys, today we're going to talk about the difference between Stevie Ray Vaughan and Albert King and try and get as close to their tones and playing as we can, so let's go. So Stevie Ray Vaughan and Albert King are undoubtedly two of the absolute biggest legends in the blues field ever. Both guitarists had a similar sound, but yet so different at the same time. Now, Stevie Ray Vaughan credits Albert King as being one of his major influences, and you can hear it anyway without him even talking about it. If you guys like SRV and Albert King, you definitely need to check out the In Session live album that they recorded together. That album has been one of the reference albums for me as a guitar player, which I keep going back to time and time again, and I keep hearing new things every time I listen to it, which is quite funny to say about that album because all of the songs sound pretty much the same in some ways, but it's all about the subtlety. Like Albert King and Stevie will play very similar licks all the way through it, but it's just all in the slight variation of the bends and just the emotion that they put into each note. That's what makes that concert so special for me. Also, you can see that Stevie was almost visibly shook by being around such a giant great such as Albert King. Stevie didn't actually play with his same intensity that night. He was a bit more reserved and a bit more respectful, probably because he's in front of Albert King. He's playing a lot of Albert King licks, probably trying to get in his good books because Albert King was quite was definitely like a mentor to Stevie, and you could tell there was this dynamic going on where Stevie was just like putting Albert on a pedestal. But that's not to say that Albert King wasn't incredibly impressed and blown away by Stevie's playing. So again, even though those guys are playing similar licks, they would approach them in a totally different way. So let's dissect that a little bit now. Stevie would play with a bit more intensity and a bit more velocity and, you know, more aggression and just a more fiery sound to it in general. He'd play something like this. Albert's bends were a lot more wild and his vibrato was a lot slower and wider. Albert King's playing, which is maybe a bit more juicy and a bit more soulful, but laid back overall compared to Stevie. These differences aren't better or worse. In my opinion, they're just a different approach to the instrument. Another main key difference between Albert and Stevie was, of course, the tone. Albert's Flying V just sounded so smooth and mellow, and he used a Phase 90 on the, well, throughout a lot of his career, to be fair, and that gave it such a phasing, pulsing, juicy sound, whereas Stevie's tone was a lot more straight and gritty and just punchy in general. And that lends itself nicely to both of their styles. They both found not only a completely unique style, but the tone to go along with that. Stevie took what Albert gave him and then he turned it into something else and innovated in a way where we now talk about Stevie Ray Vaughan as opposed to, you know, an Albert King copycat. While Stevie was alive, I don't think he ever really got the recognition of not being a Jimi Hendrix copycat and an Albert King copycat. In interviews, people always compared him to those guys and they never really said, you're Stevie Ray Vaughan. Now, 20 or 30 years later, people really know and love Stevie for his iconic sound. So all I can say is these two are two of my absolute favorite guitarists ever. And on that note, I'm going to try and humbly interpret their styles a little bit and do a bit of a guitar swapping jam with a song called Matchbox Blues, which is from the In Session album that they did together. Please let us know if you think we've got anywhere close to their styles. I mean, of course, we're never going to nail them because that's, you know, we're never going to nail anyone that's not us. This is just a humble tribute to those guys with the Flying V and with the Strat. So yeah, let's play some blues, and thanks so much for watching, guys. We'll catch you in a bit, and cheers.